Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so today we are going to be taking a look at the first two sections of lesson 7, which will finish in another mini project. So it's been about 2 weeks since we did our first mini project, which kind of counts as a quiz grade. And so starting tomorrow and probably through the rest of the week, we'll be working on this next little mini project, lesson 7. All right, but we are going to start as always with the first bubble, which is going to be a review of CSS. Now, this again, it's a review, so I am not going to walk you through every single one, but I will do a couple of them with you. So obviously, you will be responsible for completing all 5 of these, A through E. I am going to do A. Let's see, adding a rule set. Yep, so we'll do A, and then the rest of these are just changing, so we'll just do A and B. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and start with section A and bubble 1. My computer's really slow today. Okay, so it says here is an opportunity to be creative and customize the heading. Add a rule set for the heading. All right, so we already have, we can see here in the head, we already have a style sheet linked to our HTML. And if I want to do a rule set for my heading, I am going to have to go into my CSS file. So again, in Google, Lord have mercy, in your web lab, you have over here all the way on the left hand side index.html, that is where your HTML code goes, and you have style.css, that is the sheet where your what's it called, where your CSS or your styling goes. Okay, so for the heading, so now let's see, let me go back to HTML. I already have a styles rule for my first heading, so maybe I'll create a style rule for my H3. So going back to here, I'm going to go to the end, so I'm going to go be working on line 11 of my code. Let me make this a little bit bigger so it's a little easier to see. Okay, so I am going to create a rule set for heading 3. So I'm going to start with what we call the selector, which is my HTML thing that I'm trying to change. In this case, I'm trying to change H3. I'm going to follow this by a set of curly brackets. And then, just because this is just something that I learned to do, I'm going to go between my curly brackets. I'm going to hit enter a couple of times. Just because I know all of my CSS code has to be inside these curly brackets, I've just given myself a little bit of space to work. So now, keep in mind, I am changing where it says fun facts about elephants. I am changing my heading 3. All right, cool beans. So, what are some things that I could change about this? Well, we can, if we want to. If there are questions, please unmute and speak because I cannot see the my screen doesn't look like that. Okay. All right. Let me pause my recording. All right, so again, if you're following along and yours looked a lot more like his, that's perfectly fine. Just create this rule set for for H3, and that will work for you. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, and the first thing I want to do is I want to change the color of my heading 3s. And some choices will pop up. So again, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create the selector. I'm going to do my curly brackets, and then I'm going to say what property I want to change. So this color followed by the colon is the property I'm trying to change the color. And I kind of like this aqua, so I'm going to select that. But you can literally type in any color. So I can click aqua if I wanted to. I can type in the word blue, and different things will pop in and populate. But I still like that aqua, so I'm going to kind of go back to that because I thought that was pretty. When you have, again, here I have my H3, which is my selector, curly brackets, and then I have my property color, the thing that I'm changing. Then I put a colon, and then I have the value. In other words, the aqua, the thing that I want it to be. Once I have done selector, um, property, value, I need to finish this off with a semicolon. And then I'm going to go ahead and enter. Maybe I also might want to change, oh, I don't know. Maybe I want to change the font size. So I'm going to give a new selector, not selector, there we go, font size. And awesome, my little colon popped up automatically. And let's see, I would want to go, let's go bigger, but not as big as the main heading. So maybe I want to go to 25, and then 25px, that means pixels, and another colon. All right, so that should theoretically work. I'm going to go ahead and hit refresh and save, and now you can see what happened. Fun facts about elephant: change color. I didn't really see too much of a change in size, so maybe I'm going to take this up to 50 just to see what. Oh, that's too big. Let's try 30. Okay, I like 30. 30 works. Anything else you might want to change? Maybe I want to underline it. I don't honestly remember how to do that. There you go. Text underline. Maybe that works. Nope, that's not going to be right. There's a way to do it. Maybe it's font underline. Like I said, you can just play with this. I'll keep playing with it and figure out how to do that. Maybe I want to line it up in the middle. Okay, that might be a thing that you want to do. So maybe I'm going to do a text align, and then I'm going to go center. And now it has popped into the center for me. And again, don't forget to put your semicolon at the end. So again, when you are working in your style CSS sheet, you are going to do three things to create a rule set. Number one, you are going to do your selector. The selector in this case is H3, and it is telling me, it tells the computer what section of HTML do I want to change. You then have your property. I changed three properties. I changed color, font size, and I aligned my text. Those are my properties. Those are the things that I want to change. And then you have the value, what you want to change it to. So I chose aqua for my color. I chose 30 for my font size. I chose centering for my text align. This could be anything. You might have chosen font size 12. Maybe you want to align something to the right or to the left. That part doesn't matter. What matters is that I don't see lesson 7. Okay, 1 second. These are, okay, so again, that is what we are looking at. We are creating a rule set. A rule set is a selector, excuse me, a selector, a property, and a value. So you can see that I have a selector H3, a property color, a value aqua. Obviously, once that is done, as always, go ahead and hit finish or continue or whatever that little orange button on the bottom says. You don't see the assignment in your code.org, or you don't see the assignment in the Google Classroom? That's because it's not really there yet. You just log into your code.org and you're going to work on it in your code.org. I mean, I put it in there, but there's not really anything there yet because I'm still working on the video right now. Okay, so I hope that helps. We're just working on our code.org right now. We're not working in the Google Classroom yet. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so the rest of of these are all about changing something. So again, it doesn't really matter which one you want to do. I'm going to do change font family because we already did this color change. We already worked with text and we already worked with font size. So what we haven't really done today is change the font family. So I'm going to go ahead and go in. I'm going to do A. I already did A. So let's go ahead and take a look at D. All right, it says add a rule set for one of the heading types to make it a different font family. Add a rule set for the paragraphs to make them another font family. So I have two things I have to do here. I have to change the font family for the headings, at least one of my headings, and I need to change the paragraphs to a different font family. And again, the font families, it looks like here it says they include cursive, fantasy, serif, and monospace. Cool. All right, so how do we do that? Again, I have H1 and H3, so I could be changing either my heading 1 or my heading 3 or both. It doesn't really matter. And then, of course, it also wants me to change my paragraph font family. So I'm going to go over here to my style sheet because that's where I'm going to make all of my style choices. And I have to create a rule set. My rule set, let's start with a heading. Let's do heading 1. Oops, I wrote high. Heading 1. So start your rule set by your selector. I am choosing to change heading number 1 or heading 1, which of course will be the one that says endangered animals. After you use your selector, make sure you include a curly bracket set. Now again, I'm going to go between my curly brackets and hit enter a couple of times just to give myself a little space to work with. So I have my selector, H1. I now need my property. What is the thing that I wanted to change? Well, the lesson is asking me to change the font family. So I'm going to change my font family, and there is my choice. And let's go with cursive, because why not? And then I'm going to go ahead and finish it off with my semicolon. And you'll notice it changed, right? The typeset changed. Maybe you don't like that one. You're like, ugh, that's kind of gross. I don't like that. Ew. Awesome. So I'm going to try something else. Let's say sans serif, whatever that is. Fantasy, monospace. I don't know. Let's try sans serif. Ooh, that's kind of like a big black letter. That's kind of cool. I kind of like that one. So I'm going to leave that one alone. So I have done from the instructions a rule set for one of the heading types. So check, that is done. Add a rule set for the paragraphs. Awesome. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go down here to the end. I'm going to hit enter a couple of times just to give myself some nice space to work with. And now I am going to choose my different selector. My selector this time is going to be paragraph. Again, remember, selector is telling the computer what part of HTML you are looking to change. In this case, we're trying to change some properties about my paragraph. Give me 1 second. I have a visitor. All right. After you have your selector, you are going to want to include your curly brackets. I like putting them in at the same time because I'm one of those people that always forgets to put my last curly bracket in and then it screws up my code later on. So I just put them in at the beginning and then I'm going to kind of go back in here in between them and I am going to hit enter a couple times. That way the curly brackets are already there. All right, so now again, I'm going to choose font family. The cool thing is that it kind of collects, and I am going to see what this inherit is. I'm not sure. I might not even like it. Nah, it doesn't even look like that much to me. So let's try something else. See what this fantasy. Ooh, that's interesting. Fantasy. I kind of like that. All right, cool. So now I have changed the font set of my paragraph. Okay. So again, what I've done here is I've added a rule set, one for H1, headings one for P, paragraphs. And again, I have changed my font family. In other words, I have changed the font set. So once that is done, we are going to go ahead and hit finish. And it's going to take forever because my computer's slow. All right, so I have completed A and D on bubble 1. I would like for you to have to go in and do your bubble B, C, and E on your own. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to bubble 2 because we are now going to be looking at custom colors. I'll be doing A. You will be completing B on your own. All right, so introduction to RGB. That's red, green, blue, by the way. Not to be confused with what's it called? Ruth Bader Ginsburg. All right, cool. So all of your colors, whether they have names or not, can be described at the level of red, green, and blue it takes to make them. So this is called an RBG value, short for red, green, blue. You can take your widget on the left and try out different RGB values to see what the colors they make. So for number 1, I have a red of 416. Sorry, 216. I can't read today. So I'm going to kind of change it to 216. Then it says green 191. I'm going to change that. And then it says blue 216. All right, so A obviously is 4. Okay? So for each color, matches the. So number 4 is A because that value is clearly this number 4 here, right? Awesome. All right, for B, I have red 255, green 239, and then blue 213. Woo. Okay, so B obviously corresponds to number 1. This combination of red, green, and blue light corresponds to this color, number 1, the sort of like yellowy cream color. Okay? But you'll notice the code. It says, instead of writing out red 216, green 191, blue 216, when you do an RGB value in code, it'll just say RGB and then the 3 numbers that follow. Okay? And you can obviously continue with letter C. We have 250 on the red, 128 on the green, and 114 on the blue. And this is obviously, C obviously corresponds to number 2. All right, this is just to let you sort of kind of play with it a little bit. Once you're done and you figure out which one's which, finish, continue. Then you will have a chance to go into letter B. And it says, find the CSS rule set in the style sheet that gives the red words their style. Update the styles for the green and blue words to try different colors using the RGB codes. Version history. I'm going to go to start over. So again, you can see this is really just a matter of going in and taking a look at the various different codes and the different possibilities that you have here. There's really not that much to do on the second bubble, just so that you guys are aware. All right, so today's goal is for you to pretty much finish up bubble one, make sure you get A through E completed, and then explore through your RGB colors in bubble two. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.